You cannot see everything that is going on in the world right now, can you? Can you see what is going on in all of the countries in the world? No. Just because you can't see it with your eyes, does that mean that there is nothing going on in the world, that it is not the reality? Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In this video we are going to deal with the metaphysics of belief in the unseen. We're going to touch on many topics. We are going to deal with what is belief in the unseen, what is disbelief, what is kufr, the metaphysics of kufr. We are going to deal with the metaphysics of Dajjal or the Antichrist, and we are going to deal with mind control and how Dajjal mind controls you through disbelief. And we are going to, in this video, I'm going to prove to you 100% that there is a unseen reality that you can't see, hear, taste, smell, or touch with your five senses. Now, many people, when they think about belief, they think about belief in the unseen. And in the Quran, in the beginning, it describes that this is a book wherein there is no doubt. For those people who have taqwa, the muttaqeen, who believe in the unseen and pray and so on. So taqwa and belief in the unseen, the ghaib, is mentioned very beginning in the Quran. Now, why is it so important to believe in the unseen? Is that what iman or faith means? Is your ability to believe in the unseen? Yes, it's a part of it. You're not wrong if you define it like that. You can't say that that is iman, belief in the unseen. But it is not just limited to that, and it is about the heart. Now, in the Western world, when I started studying in university economics, I saw very clearly, I was like 21, 22, that disbelief is actually the biggest enemy of science. Because when scientists study nature, they start seeing the unseen laws that govern this universe. Isaac Newton and the classical laws of mechanics, Albert Einstein and relativity theory, Adam Smith and the classical economy, David Ricardo and trade theory, the laws of trade and comparative advantages. All of science is based on theories of unseen realities. It really is. The atom, we studied the atom in chemistry and also biology. We could not see the atom for a very, very long time, but we saw evidence of it, didn't we? So it was a reality even if we couldn't see it with our eyes. We couldn't hear it with our ears. Now, we understood the laws of mechanics and gravity and all of these things because we could see if we drop something to the ground that it moves with a certain speed and then the speed increases. So we saw certain laws that govern this entire cosmos. Yet we couldn't touch it, we couldn't point it with our five senses. We just saw the effect of the law. And this is how we created science. Now, what has happened over time is that because of Dajjalic mind control, our ability to understand and believe in the unseen, to accept that there is a reality that we cannot see, has become more and more and more limited, until science today, it's almost impossible scientifically to try to prove a new theory. There are very rare new theories that come through because you need so much empirical evidence and so much evidence just to prove a small unseen law of the universe. And it didn't used to be like that in the 1700s, 1800s, and so on. That's why most of the big theories are very old, because today there are very rare new big theories that get published because we have lost the faith. We have lost faith, and we have become, and the world has become lulled down with kufr. And this is what Friedrich Nietzsche meant when he said in Thus Spoke Zarathustra that God is dead. Our faith has become diminished and diminished because of forgetfulness of Allah. So what has happened is that we have limited our reality to only what the five senses can immediately see. Now, is there an unseen reality? The majority of your reality, or the reality that exists, is unseen. How can I prove this? Well, a very easy proof. What is lying on the table below the camera? You say, no, there's nothing there. Because I can't see it, therefore there is nothing there. Oh yes, there was. This was on the table. Just because it was below your sight didn't mean that it was not a reality that this was lying on the table. What is behind the camera? You don't know. It's a kitchen. Prove it to me. Okay. There you go. That's the kitchen. Just because you didn't see it didn't mean that it was not a reality that there was a kitchen behind. You see? The ultimate unseen reality is Allah. And that is the ultimate reality. Now, can we see it, taste it, feel it, touch it? Yes and no. You see the problem. The more iman we have, the more ability we have to intuitively see evidence of things and get connected to the unseen reality. The more iman, the more faith you have, the more trust you have, the more you have the ability to understand and believe in and trust in unseen realities. This is why the number one reason why Sufis rarely go out with the deep mysticism and deep metaphysics, because it's dealing with a lot of unseen realities that people have a difficult time to believe in, because people are very limited to what their five senses can perceive, sensory. Now, isn't a person who is limited to the five senses quite blind? Oh yes, that person is very blind, because our eye cannot see all the light that exists in the universe. In the electromagnetic spectrum, there's only a very, very, very small portion of the light that we can see with our eyes. We can't see infrared, we can't see radio, we can't see ultraviolet, we cannot see Röntgen or gamma radiation or any of that. Does that mean that there is no such thing as ultraviolet? There's no such thing as infrared or radio? It is there. It's a reality. We just can't see it. So if you trust only the reality that you can see, you are blind, because you can only see so much. Most of what's going on in the world right now, you can't see it. But you can also not deny it as a reality just because you can't see it. Is there life on Mars? If you ask a kafir, who metaphysically a kafir is someone who is so limited to the five sensors, so the person rejects anything that the person cannot immediately see or hear with the five senses. That is a kafir. If you ask a kafir, is there life on Mars? The kafir is gonna say, no, there's no life, because I have not seen any life, therefore it's not there. So the disbeliever is gonna say, no, there's no life on Mars because I have not seen it, and because I've not seen it, therefore it's not there. I don't have any evidence of it. I'm gonna say, I don't know. I'm not saying there is life, but I'm also not ruling out the possibility. Just because I have not seen it doesn't mean that there's not realities that we don't know about. Is there life on other planets? There might be. It's not impossible. You can't just rule it out just because you can't see it. Is history older than ancient Sumeria? What about Atlantis? The city of Atlantis in the ancient, which is on the bottom of the sea in the Atlantic Ocean. Was there a civilization there 15,000 years ago or more? I don't know. The kafir is going to say, no, there was no such civilization because there is no proof, and therefore, because I can't see it, therefore it doesn't exist. I don't know. They have found some evidence. Maybe there was something there. You see, belief in the unseen versus kufr. Okay? With our hearing, we can also not hear all the sounds, can we? So if we are limited to only our hearing, well, dogs can hear sounds we cannot. Bats can hear sounds that we cannot. Higher frequencies. Elephants can hear lower frequencies than we can. So there's a lot of sound we don't hear. Does that mean that it is not there because we can't hear it? Tasting, smelling. We cannot taste everything. We cannot smell anything. Dogs can smell things a million times better than we can. So there is smell that we cannot perceive. There is taste that we cannot taste. These people who are professional tasters, they practice tasting, so they enhance their ability to taste nuances in foods and drinks and so on. And feel. Can we feel everything? Oh no, we cannot. There are many things happening inside of our body right now with bacteria and so on. Good bacteria that we can't feel. May Allah forbid us from getting some of the diseases, but many of the diseases that we get, we can't feel it. So that doesn't mean that it is not a reality that exists just because we can't feel it. Yeah, I have pain in my hand. I'm sick because I have pain in my hand. No, I'm not sick because I don't have pain in my hand. Just because I can't feel it doesn't mean that it is not a reality. So this is belief in the unseen. The development of this intuitive, perceptive ability, which Carl Jung and other psychologists studied very intensely. The ability to see inner images, basically, and perceive a reality that is beyond the five senses. And all of science is based on this. And the more you disbelieve, the more your science becomes about empirical evidence. And that is exactly what has happened. This Western way, how Western science started degenerating, in my opinion, because disbelief and this empirical evidence became more important than the inductive ability to derive theory and understanding the laws of nature. This has been translated to Islam. How can we see this? Very much of these Salafi doctrines within Islam are based on very much doubt and weak faith and disbelief, kufr. I don't say that people are kafir. I'm not declaring any takfir here, just as a clarification. I'm saying that there's doubt. There's doubt, and those people have to increase their iman and ability to believe in the unseen, like Quran says that this is a book for those who believe in the unseen. How can we know this? Yeah, well, if you quote the Quran, you have to pronounce it perfectly. If you don't pronounce it perfectly, you made a mistake. If you say a hadith, you have to cite which book it was and how authentic. This is all because of disbelief, because of that doubt. It didn't used to be like that. When an imam and a sheikh, he can just cite a hadith. And people don't doubt that just because he has not left the reference, somehow the imam or sheikh is there to fool them or deceive them or invent hadiths that didn't exist. Just because you can't see it or immediately point to Bukhari, Muslim, Tirmidhi, Ibn Majah, Abi Dawud, or any of the ones, and it has to have Sahih. If it doesn't have Sahih, it's not real. If it didn't say Sahih Bukhari, it's not real. That's the mentality of the doubter. That is the mentality of the person who doesn't believe in the ghaib, in the unseen. Then you're a blind man. When Jesus said, or the Bible said, Jesus, Isa alayhi salam, and by the way, every Muslim is required in the beginning of Surah Al-Baqarah to believe in the books revealed before. So you cannot disbelieve the Bible. If you do as a Muslim, you are breaking one of the pillars of Iman. Because just because you can't exactly point to which is the original version of the Injil and so on, that doesn't mean that everything in the King James version of the Bible is wrong. No, that's disbelief. There is truth there and there's man-made stuff there. But anyways, in the Bible, it said that Jesus made the blind man to see. It's referring to this, the belief in the unseen. So from the sensory perception going deeply intuitive. That is what it means. The ability to accept and believe in a reality that is not right in front of his eyes. And the Quran says, and for those who disbelieve, Surah Al-Baqarah, it doesn't matter what you say to them or whether you warn them or not, they will not believe. Allah has set a seal on their eyes and their hearing. This is what I'm talking about. This is the metaphysics of disbelief. You are limited to only your sensory perception. You don't believe that there is a reality that exists just because you can't see it. And if you only believe in what you can see and hear, you are a blind man. You are a deaf man, like the Quran says, because you can't see the whole electromagnetic spectrum. You cannot hear below 20,000, 30, 40, 50,000 hertz, somewhere in that range. There is megahertz. You can't hear that. You can't hear the low frequency sound. So that doesn't mean that it is not there. You can't see what's happening everywhere in the world. You can't. Just because you can't see what's happening in Afghanistan right now, or in China, or in the Cayman Islands, or in the Pacific Ocean in Hawaii, you don't see what's happening in Hawaii right now. Just because you can't see doesn't mean that there is not a reality there. You can't just reject it, and rejection of this, that's where kufr comes from, and kufr means rejection. And those are ultimately the people who reject Prophet Muhammad SAW. When you see this Prophet, you need a belief in the unseen. That maybe he doesn't look like the way your mind has thought about the master, the last and final prophet look like. Maybe he's more humble than you expect. That doesn't mean that he's not a prophet, just because you can't see it. And that's what happened during the time of the Sahaba. Many people rejected Prophet Muhammad. And they are the kafirun, the people who only see what they can point to directly. Just because they can't point to it doesn't mean that he's not there. No, this is kufr. And this is what it means. The hadith, the metaphysics of the hadith, Dajjal has only one eye. I don't remember which one it was, but let's say like this. Because with one eye, you can only see what's in front of you. You can't see depth, perspective. With two eyes, you can see perspective. So you're practically blind in one eye. And then it said in the forehead is written kafir. So Dajjal only believes in what he can see, and he is a kafir, meaning he's deaf and he's blind, practically, because you only believe in what you can see. So this is it. And this is how they mind control people, because through disbelief, basically, they reject things. So that just because you say things, you're not believable as a person. In the Western society, it's very difficult to become believable. And if you're a black person, for example, you are, just by the racist system, less believable. Even if you know as much as other people, people don't believe in what you say because you're black. If you're Muslim, you're less believable. If you are even from India or other parts of the world, like Latino and so on, you are less believable than Western people. So you have to work more to make people believe that what you're saying is actually a reality, even if they might not see it immediately. And how many arguments are there about racism, and so many people who reject racism? Oh, it's not racism, it's black people who are lazy. But just because you have not maybe tasted that reality yourself doesn't mean that it is not the reality for people of other color, just as an example. And the great deception of the television, some people call television, the people of metaphysics call it tell a lie to the vision. Why is it the tell a lie to the vision? Because through the television, you get the illusion that you know what is going on. That's the problem with television and radio and this indoctrination. Is that you think that just because CNN shows you pictures of Afghanistan, pictures of Africa, now you think you have the illusion that you see the world. And this is the illusion of the television. It makes you think that you actually are There is no unseen reality in Afghanistan, in Africa, in Latin America, in Venezuela. You see it on the TV. So because you see it, you know what's going on. No, you don't know what's going on. You have no idea. You're just seeing a short clip of an event in a certain country, maybe a war or a terrorist attack or a disease. That doesn't mean that you know anything about what's going on. There is a lot of unseen reality in those countries. So the television makes you, it shows small pictures of the world and deceives you into thinking that you now know what's going on. And Instagram and social media is the same. It makes you think that you know what's going on in the world because you're seeing popular videos and so on, but you're not. There's a large unseen reality. That's why I think the world was a better place when there was no television. Now we can't do anything about it. We have to live with the reality and do the best of the thing and flow with it instead of resisting. But when there was no internet, people were more humble to the fact that they didn't know, that there's an unseen reality. Now people think that they know just because they see it on the TV, but you don't know. There's still a big unseen reality. So hopefully this video is helpful. Assalamu alaikum.